Hey everybody, Eric Dorward here with the Spartan Rocketry Club, continuing, maybe even finishing our build of the Estes Vanguard Eagle kit here. So in the intervening time between this video and the previous one, I went over the black sections with a second coat of paint. Remember, I was brushing this on and it's covered pretty well. Maybe it's not perfect, but it's not really, there don't seem to be any spots where I obviously missed things. And, when you are going to brush paint something, you're probably going to get some brush marks in it. It's not going to be as smooth as if you use spray paint or as if you used like good quality like airbrush paint. But overall, it looks decent. I can see a little bit of brush stroke here. Yeah, it's acceptable. So I'm reasonably pleased with it. In preparing for the next bit, I did notice too that the nose cone here, these seam marks and these little bumps, they appear, if you look at the pretty picture here, they appear to be black. So I definitely cannot manage to paint this seam like right in there with a paintbrush black. I don't know that I'm going to do anything about it, but if I end up doing anything, I'm probably going to grab a Sharpie and just draw. I have a narrow tip Sharpie. That's probably a pretty good choice for that, but draw in here. And if I choose to just like color on these bumps, I would use probably the broader tip Sharpie. But honestly, I don't think I'm going to do a whole lot about that at the moment. What I do need to do in this video, though, is it is time to attach decals, or stick the stickers on, basically. The stickers for this, these are all self-stick stickers, fingers crossed. I've said that in the past and been very surprised when they are not, but they very much do appear to be just regular sticker decals rather than anything else. They're actually labeled reasonably well here on the decal sheet, which is nice. There is a frame in the instructions right here that shows me what I need to do for the nose cone part, because that is it's a little less obvious. So I'm going to start with the nose cone, and it has 3 segments. There is a middle segment that actually matters for accuracy. That's the one with this bump, so I'm going to start there. And the middle segment, well, it's called center here, right? So I'm going to peel off the middle center part. I think seems like a reasonable place to start. And this is just going to go right in the middle of the center. Actually, I think I'm going to turn it upside down. It doesn't actually seem to have a preferred direction. It seems to be identical, but you know what? Changed my mind. There are little cutouts here and here. That might fit a little bit better here, just in case. I get a little too close to those nose, or these they're supposed to be like thruster clusters, RCS blocks. Yeah. Looks reasonably good. It's not perfectly straight, but it's pretty close. So we'll go with that. And then there are these little black segments. I guess these are supposed to be windows. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. Not sure on the scale of this, but they are going to go right in line. Like, oops, I need 2 hands for this, like so, and on either side. It is also worth pointing out that this picture seems to indicate that the front end of each of the little thruster clusters, both on the nose cone and on the big rockets, like right here, they look silver. I am not going to paint them silver for a variety of reasons, not the least of which is I don't actually have any hand brush silver paint, at least not that I'm aware of. I might somewhere, but I'm pretty sure I don't. So I'm just going to have to make do there. This bump too, by the way, appears to be black in this picture. So apparently there are a lot of extra details that you could, if you really, really wanted to, hand paint on. I'm going to get rid of this for the moment. I'm going to switch over to my instructions just so I'm making sure I'm doing this right. I'm going to do the left section next. It's labeled left. It's convenient. and it looks like it's going to go just right next to that little thing that looks like windows. Oops, that was not in the right spot at all. I'm just going to try to center it here. Looks pretty good. And oh, sorry, need an American flag. Gotta have plenty of American flags on this, apparently. And this is going to go down here, like so, centered around that bump. And again, if you want, paint the bump black. I don't know. I really don't think I'm going to do that. There's so much decal work that you, or fine detail, not decal, but detail work that you could do on this. I don't think I'm going to end up doing it. Okay, now working on the right section. There are only 2 decals here, so this should go pretty quickly. This is basically just the mirror image of the last side that I did. And there we have it. Taking a quick look, it looks reasonably straight. This one's not quite the first one I did, but I can live with it. Great, so that's done. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to do any of the extra marking work. That just seems like it's not going to be worth my trouble. Alright, so back on to the main body of the rocket. I'm going to make reference back to my glossy picture here. The next bit, there are the 2 of these purple or blue. I don't know what color this is. Maybe it's blue. Not one of my strong suits, but whatever. These go at the top and the bottom of the upper stage part. Remember, this is not actually a staged rocket. It just, I mean, the real one might have been had it ever gotten built, but this one certainly is not. So I'm going to try my best to line it up with the edge of the rocket and then just spin around. I'm keeping some tension on it, but I don't want to keep too much because this definitely seems like something I could tear if I were a little too rough with it. What I really want to do is make sure that the last little bit is overlapping perfectly. There. Yeah, that's not quite right. It's close, but not quite. Ooh, that's even worse. Yeah, I can live with that. Alright, there are 2 of these. The next one goes at the bottom, underneath the little fins. This is going to be slightly harder, I think. I am going to try to line it up with the end of the tube, since that's a good reference point. This is one of those where don't try to move the decal, try to move the rocket underneath it. Alright, that's taken care of. There's one other thing to put on here, and that is this set of stickers. And this is supposed to line up with one of the booster bumps. I'm going to do the one that is kind of opposite to the launch lug, so I'm going to line it up with this one. And it just kind of goes middle mass here. So, yeah, that's not quite straight. Let's try that again. This is one of the places where I prefer water slides, although those purple ones, blue ones, whatever color that is, it's probably for the best that those were not. Alright, because you only get a couple cracks at getting stick-on stickers right, and honestly, they don't adhere as well in the long term. Alright, what else? Well, we've got this curved bit. This is going to go on the shoulder here. Okay. Let's see. It looks like, I'm going to try to line it up with the bottom of the shoulder rather than the top or the middle or anything like that. So I'm going to try to get it as close to the bottom as I can throughout. That looks pretty good. It's not perfectly lined up, but it's close. And I'm going to press out any air bubbles. I think they're some minor ones in here because I don't think I quite got it exactly where it was supposed to go, and it was cut so that it would fit exactly at a certain size and diameter. I think it's pretty good, but it's not quite perfect. I'm going to just do my best to push any little air bubbles out, because any little air bubbles, well, I don't want them because they'll look ugly, but it also might affect the paint job. Alright, there's another one of these bluish purple stickers that needs to go on, and it's going to go right underneath. I'm not going to have these actually touching because there is, there's a bit of space in there, and I don't want it just over top of a crack, because then it would be trying to adhere to nothing. And I'm sure that that would not hold as well as if it's trying to adhere to the tube. Again, I want it to line up perfectly, so if I need to take a couple cracks at it, that one actually went well, so not necessary. The big decal here, I have another one of these. It's going to line up, so it's going to go, again, kind of center mass here. If you really wanted to measure this out to get it perfect, you certainly could. I am not going to. That looks pretty good. Again, it's not quite lined up right, but it's good enough. Alright, and then last but not least, there are 4 of these little ones down at the bottom, and they go underneath the fins. So ideally, should be able to, so I think the idea is they're going to go, like this. So they're going to go underneath the little booster pod, that's why they're cut out. And then fill up most of the rest of the space. That's pretty good. Yeah, that's not bad at all. I think it's easier to get the little thin part in where it's supposed to be first. And then, yeah, it's a little difficult sometimes. There we go. So in like that, and then get the wider part down, but I do want this lined up a little bit better because they do connect, they do touch. Alright, 2 more. Decals will be done, which is nice. By the way, I did get a little bit of black paint when I was painting the nozzles here when I hand brushed them. I got a little bit of the paint underneath them, and this is great because the decals are going to cover up my little sloppiness, which is always a nice thing to have happen. Okay. That was okay, but not as good as some of the other ones. And last one. So this takes care, once I get this down, of the finishing part. I do need to do a little bit more work because I need to put the parachute and all that stuff together as well. That wasn't quite as good, but again, I can live with it. Anything else? Well, there's an Estes sticker if you really care. I don't think I'm going to put that on. Boom. Alright, let's take care of the parachute and the shock cord quickly. I need to actually find it. Here we are. Shock cord. Get rid of that. Classic Estes shock cord mount here. This hasn't changed in decades apparently, since this kit is decades old. There we go. So if you haven't done this before, it really helps if your glue bottle is not clogged. Just a little bit of a clog there. It's fun. Now, ooh, yeah, it's very clogged. Well, in the interest of time, I'm actually just going to paint the glue on here. Typically I wouldn't do it this way, but there we go. Just a little bit of glue. Lay the shock cord down, and then fold the one over into the 2 section. Again, you probably have done this before. If not, then I don't know. Probably haven't built many rockets, at least not from Estes. There are, of course, many other ways that you could do a shock cord mount. Estes is just pretty consistent in this approach. It's not necessarily the best. It's not the strongest, I'll tell you that much, but it is easy to deal with, and it's easy to replace should you have anything go amiss, like you snap a shock cord or something. Other ones that we've built, the shock cord has been Kevlar, which is really strong, so it's probably not going to snap, but they have been mounted deep inside the rocket where you really can't get back to them should anything go wrong. So this, at least, you know, it can be replaced without a lot of trouble, certainly without damaging the rocket. Let's see if this is cleared up now. Nope, probably gonna have to soak this, because I think there's a little bit of glue, a blob or something that got that dried up inside the nozzle. So again, I'm just gonna use my wood scrap here and go about it that way. Yeah, so I'm gonna take that and clean it out at some point as soon as I'm done here. Shock cord mount goes into the rocket. My hands are a little gluey. I really don't want them to be gluey when I'm touching this finished product. Anyway, in it goes. I'm going to push it in as far as I can reach comfortably and then squeeze it down. Really, this doesn't need to go all that far. It just needs to go down far enough so that the shoulder of the nose cone isn't going to hit it. And we do want it as flat as possible, because if it's not flat, it could get snagged on things. Ooh, one of my decals is coming up already. That's not great. Yeah, that actually requires some attention. You know, see the ending of it, the underside actually came undone a little bit. I wonder if I did that when I was smoothing out this part. Well, it happens. If I almost always clear coat these things, and that's going to add some stability to the decals as well, which is kind of nice. Alright, last thing, parachute. Well, you gotta find the parachute first. Oh yeah, this is a vintage one. Yeah, it's yellow and black. This, honestly, I'm a little nervous about this, because since the chute is so old, I'm not really worried about the plastic part. I'm sure that'll be fine. But the shroud lines, well, I don't know how good they're going to be. The elastic, too, I checked this before I used it. It's pretty good. It doesn't feel brittle. If it were brittle, I would not have used it, and I would have replaced it with something else. But parachute, this is actually kind of small considering the weight, but I guess the upside is because there's so much plastic in it, it can hit the ground pretty hard, and you know, nothing bad's going to happen to it. This also is so old that the shroud lines are put together in a different way from what the current Estes ones used. The current Estes ones would have these two, and then the one diagonally across. Let's move this a little bit farther. So this, but instead these are all connected, the two immediately next to each other. So that's, I mean, it doesn't really matter. The only thing that it causes is there's going to be one little bit here that's going to be crossed up, which shouldn't really matter. This is also a much softer thread than more modern kits use, for better or for worse. Again, this is, if I were really thinking about updating this, replacing anything, I might consider replacing the chute here. I'm not really confident that this is going to survive too well. Anyway, that should pretty much do it. Clasps open. The last little thing that we need to do is tie or run everything through the hook in the nose cone. So shock cord, run it through 3 or 4 overhand knots, and then clasp the clasp. And yeah, after I'm done all this, the decals, since this is just a sticker decal, they don't need to dry, but I'm not in a huge rush to clear coat this. I will in the near future, but I'm not going to do that just quite yet. Maybe the spirit will move me and I will try to paint or color in those black spots on the nose cone, but I don't think so. I just don't feel that happening. Alright, so that takes care of it. This last little bit too, remember this was a little display, not for actual flight, because that would be dumb, because it blocks off where the motor goes, but for the time being, since it's going to be on display, that's what it looks like. Alright, very exciting. Alright, thanks for watching. I will see you in whatever I happen to build next. See you then.